Hello and welcome to another episode of our debates. On this episode, we are going to be talking about school systems and CPS corruption. Alright. Oof, excuse me. Heartburn, that's fine. Well, it's never fine, but deal with it. Alright, there we go. There's War. We've got Lost Zorro and we've got Red Ed.
What's up?
Alright, and on the first thing, we're going to be talking about metal detectors in schools. Who would like to start off today?
I feel like Becca should start because she's in school.
Yeah. Alright, Becca.
Alright, so honestly, metal detectors in school, they have their point of view, like they make it so that children, like after all the school shootings have been happening periodically throughout the years, I feel like it keeps them like under like tight ropes. But I also feel like it makes children have less freedom and it makes them have more of a scared point of view walking into school because why would a school need it if not danger is there?
I mean,
I mean,
that
that's totally understandable, 100%. But at the same time, why did we do lockdown drills for what we should do if a shooter got into the school? Like, it's better to be overly cautious, I guess, than to not be cautious enough. Because school shootings have gone on the rise significantly in the past, like, I'd say like 10 years.
That is true. They have become so regular that even the news doesn't broadcast them anymore.
Yeah, and that's really sad. That news
It
just
is.
like, oh yeah, and other news, by the way, we had another school shooting, 4 dead, 14 injured, Moving on. But like it goes hand in hand with like uh there are schools in different areas of the world that are implementing not only metal detectors, but you need a key card to get into the building from any
See,
entrance.
I
Just
honest to godly, like, I would like the idea of having the need for key cards. Like, metal detectors, I feel like it's overbearing because a lot of the things, even for nowadays, that children need even to do schoolwork, have metal in them. And could you imagine having to stop every day just to unload your bag just to get into the building?
I mean, yeah, that'd be a complete hassle. But there are schools that do complete searches every single day with their students. Like,
I personally don't think they should do metal detectors. I think they should do those things they do at airports where they can see through your bag and see what you have in your bag. So if you have something in your bag, then they can be like, "Oh, hey, stop."
See, I like that idea a lot more than anything because if they actually did that, it'd be way quicker, way easier, and because of the amount of metal things that we need for like we even a protractor could set it off. Like it would just be an easier tactic.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, if you use lace up shoes that have the rivets in it, that would set off a metal detector.
That's my point of view on this. Like
Belt,
it's
yeah,
too much
belt buckles
and
as
it's still
well.
too much.
But
You'd
we
have to
need,
like try and avoid wearing all metal altogether just to try and get into school faster.
not to mention jewelry. Like, yes,
Yeah,
there definitely needs to be something more security wise, but I don't know if we need to go as far as metal detectors.
like those little X-ray things would be a great thing to have. And like it could be like my school, like we don't have metal detectors, but we also aren't allowed to carry our backpacks around school.
Oh, fuck that. I would just put something where, like, you have to put your backpack on the conveyor belt. It goes through the machine on its own. You just drop your bag. You walk around to the other fucking side where a dude's looking at the computer. And it either gives you a green light or a fucking red light. A red light stops the bag from leaving the thing, locking it up so that they can't get it. And green means you're good. It can't be that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, we got Facebook and Messenger. We've got all these cool Pokemon games and all, people are putting smarts everywhere. I just don't feel like maybe they're putting them in the right places.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, we weren't allowed to carry bags in school when we were in school either.
Binder.
Anything, we weren't allowed to carry anything big enough to fit a folder, is what it was when we were in school.
that's what it still is.
And if you carried a purse, it had to be see-through.
Yeah, that's what ours is.
Damn. What?
Any purses had to be see-through so teachers could see what was inside.
Wow, they're getting on it, huh? Alright. Next one is school supplies. I feel the government should provide school supplies. I mean, you're forcing us to go to school and you're forcing us to get shots, but then you want to force us to buy our supplies rather than give us our supplies. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But they also force us to pay for our shots and to pay for our school. Like my classes cost money. Mom and Dad paid $300 for me to just be in the classes I want to be in.
Yeah, I could only imagine.
I don't mind paying for school supplies for my children. What I have a problem with is the stigma that I have to pay for every student's supplies. I don't like the thought that all of the school supplies get thrown in a fucking bin, especially in elementary school, for just everybody. Just expensive, and they want name brand shit. They want Elmer's glue, they want Crayola crayons and markers. Like, that shit ain't cheap. Like, I personally believe that if there are families that can't afford the school supplies, that the school needs to pick up the tab for that, not the other parents. It's expensive enough sending your own kids to school.
I feel the same. I feel like they shouldn't have to share their stuff. Because if you think about it, like, they break their crayons, and then what? They want to fucking get all the kids up to get more crayons. Like, I'm not gonna buy more later in the year. I'll teach my child to not break stuff, and to treat them with respect so they last longer before they go to school. I mean, all of our kids will be going at 6 years old too, and that extra year does help. Gives them that extra boost when they go into kindergarten. They're smart.
Yeah.
What do you think, Becca?
I think that either the government should make it to where you don't have to pay to get school supplies, but if they have no possible way of doing that, because obviously we'll have to pay our taxes, like, just to get, we have to have like higher taxes just to make that a possibility. But if we can't do that, then parents shouldn't have to be like forced to buy their kids supplies that only gets put into the supplies with other kids. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, if I have to pay my hard-earned money for my kids to get this, and they're not even going to be the ones using it, it is not the point. That is not the point of it.
Yeah. And on top of that, like, school taxes are taken directly out of income tax. And even we pay into that school taxes, and none of our children are in school. It's a
Yeah.
little ridiculous that people are forced to pay into school taxes, even if they don't have children in schools.
Well, see, and that's where the government would look back and hit with a nice argument of, well, maybe there should be a test that people have to, or a class or something that people have to do before they can have children. And one of the things would be, could you afford school supplies and shit? They could just say that and boom, we'd be screwed. But, I mean, it'd be shitty to do that. It'd be shitty if they said that.
I can afford school supplies for my children. That's not a problem. I will buy anything that teacher needs for my child. But if I did not push you out of my body or raise you, I'm not paying for you.
See, a piece of me wants to say yes, but at the same time, I mean, I personally am Christian, so I believe that, and sharing is caring to the core, help. And at the same time, don't you want to give someone the shirt off your back and hope that, good karma comes to you later for it? Or that it
Yes.
builds up, maybe?
It's one thing when you offer somebody the shirt off your back. It's another thing when you are forced to do it. That it goes from doing it out of the kindness of your heart and doing it because you're forced to do it.
And all that would do is irritate people in general. Like
yeah.
If you're forced to do something and you're not getting anything in return for it, you just hope that the God will look down at you and be like, "I've forgiven you." No, like, you're not gonna do it because you just don't want to. You're not doing it because you want to anymore. Because you have to.
I have no problem helping people when they need help, but when it's expected of you, it goes to something different.
Yeah, like you were saying before, that's not giving your shirt. That's having it taken, basically. It's not free will. It's not a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the exact same thing as like when your parents tell you to do a chore, you just don't do it because they're telling you to do it.
Yet when you're on your own, you'll be like, wow, I don't, my friends are coming over. Oh my gosh, this place is trash. It's horrible. Like, you feel it, you know it. And it really gets to you like it never did before. Like, you'll find that, oh my gosh, wow, like, what am I doing? I can't screw around. I got an hour before work. I gotta hurry and get this done.
Yeah.
So, on the next subject, yeah, we already, went through that one too, yeah. School uniforms.
I mean, as somebody who's already out of school and into their almost 30s at this point, I can see where school uniforms could be a useful thing, a good thing. But I've also seen where school uniforms are taken to the absolute extreme, where these kids have zero individuality. And I agree that school isn't about the way you look, because it's not, you're there for an education. But I also don't want my children's individualities ripped from them. if that makes sense.
See, I was gonna say that along the lines of that too, because it takes away personality and everything. Well, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons. I mean, pros, what are you gonna get made fun of for? Wearing the same clothes as your buddy? As the dude that's making fun of you is wearing the same shit? No. But there's also, again, taking away that individuality from being part of somebody's. That's part of someone's personality. It's part of who you are. And without that, I mean, kids are gonna feel more lost. They'd be
Yeah, I'm
better
like,
off getting their ass beat by a bully and at least knowing who the fuck they are than not knowing who they
oh my
are.
god.
Yeah.
Well, there's a point to it. Like, I get it. Uniform, like knowing exactly what you're going to wake up and put on in the morning. As a student myself, like, it would be so much easier because I wouldn't have to plan it out. But at the same time, I wouldn't be able to show off my personality and show how I look at myself and what I see myself wanting to wear. And I wouldn't be able to like express myself as a human being if I'm trapped inside the same thing everyone else is wearing.
And I mean, like, no, school isn't about the way you look. And there are some students, mostly female students, I'm going to be honest, that care way too much about what they look like going to school. Because some people are vain and shallow, and that's not what you're there to do or accomplish. But just completely being like, oh no, you're going to have to wear this red or whatever, this gray and black uniform, the same as everybody else, nothing personal about it. That's a little messed up.
But at the same time, don't we see it all the time in all our favorite movies and shit? Like, look at Harry Potter. They had dress robes. Every school, sure, every class was different, but your classmates that were in your house all wore the same robes. Unless it was like a dance or nighttime. But to school, that is what they wore.
Yeah.
And they didn't really care. But exactly, I was about to say, I feel like the magic aspect kind of makes up for it because you're taking some individuality but giving a large amount back.
Like, my niece, she's in a Catholic school, and she was required to wear a uniform. And if she does not follow this dress code, the uniform specifically to a T, it will be enough to get her suspended from school. Yes, having school uniforms would be helpful because you wouldn't have the stress of deciding what to wear. But I feel like their schools are taking it to the extreme. There needs to be like a median point that everybody needs to meet at.
See, there's a point to all of that. Like, there are like certain things that like I do. Like, if we were to wear uniforms to school, like, honestly, everyone would probably be fine with it if it wasn't so like we'd end up being like very defined. Like, our school, knowing how it's set up, we would probably get suspended for the very littlest items, like accidentally forgetting to wear like my buttons like the right way, or like not wearing like a little tie, or like because I forgot to put it on. I do that in band all the time. I forget to button my thing right or wear my socks high enough. Like, it's a human thing. Like, we will not always remember to do everything.
Yes, kids are very forgetful. Adults are forgetful. I mean, shit. If I don't look at my work schedule 9 times a day, I'm not going to remember what my work schedule is. Like, humans are flawed individuals. And I feel like they're with a uniform, it's one extreme or the other. It's if you don't follow it to the damn T, your ass goes home, or we don't give a shit what you wear. Wear what you want. We don't care.
I feel like they should have more like diverse in if they were to do it. Like it definitely worked in Harry Potter, but a lot of the reason was because the house separation, and it was more of a house pride. Having pride for the
Yeah,
house you
but
were in.
see, there's a problem with that. Like, what would the sectioned off areas be? Like, would there be a different outfit for who homeroom teacher you are, or what your standing is? Like, what's your GPA? What would it be? Because there's lots of ways that could go that would just completely destroy anyone's confidence in themselves.
It would have to be something like homerooms, like homeroom teachers. It would have to be something like that. It'd have to be.
But there's so many home.
Like, I feel like with as many students are in school, there's a lot of different homeroom teachers. So you're looking at minimum of like 4 or 5, I would think. Especially in a school the size of the ones that we went to.
Yeah, that's like a lot of like money.
Oh yeah, school uniforms are expensive. Like I remember it was just to do marching band and get the uniform for marching band, it was like $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you only got one of those.
I remember Chestnut Elementary before they knocked it down, and we didn't have uniforms because we were a poor family and we had just moved there. And I had kids making fun of me because I wore regular clothes for like 2 or 3 days till they started getting pissed and feeling jealous. So the teachers eventually gave me like other ones. It was insane. And then they probably billed my parents. So that's actually where I met the wife of the mother of my children, the first 2 anyway.
Smells a lot. All right. What's the next topic, babe? Free college. I mean,
college is not something you should have to work to get into or pay to get into. Should we work? Yes. Should you pay? No. College should be free.
If colleges were free, then all colleges would be bad.
The government would pay them. If the government pays them, but at the same time, where would
The government
get the
pays for
money?
our schools.
Right.
The government pays for our schools already, and do you see how great they are? They're not.
I mean, I don't think that college should necessarily be free.
I feel like it should be cheaper.
Yes, definitely 100% needs to be cheaper. And I also feel like
I would pay more for college than I would for a car.
Oh yeah, hands down, easily. Not only should it be cheaper, but you should not be forced to buy $100 books that you're never even going to crack open, and you'll never get your money back for them.
I agree. I feel like it should not cost money to buy things that aren't necessary for you to be in the classes you're taking.
Yeah, you're already paying thousands of dollars
just to be sitting in the classroom.
Yeah, and like I know some people just go to college to fuck around and have a good time, but for the people who are there because they actually want to further their education, that's kind of like a slap in the face. Like, oh yeah, it's going to cost you $3,000 a semester if you're lucky. On top of you're going to be required to spend $5,000 in books and only use $200 worth of them.
If not tens of thousands.
Yeah. I feel like we should have it so there's like a cutoff point for how much you have to pay for college. So that way it's like for people that struggle with money, like the poor communities, like they don't even have the ability to go to college without being like extremely smart or having a really good like sports after them. Otherwise, they are out of luck. There's no college yet for them.
And the requirements to get into college are outrageous, even for like a community college. If you don't have a good GPA and extracurricular activities on your resume, you're not getting in. And Becca, you know all about this.
I do. Like, if I do not do all the things I do now, I will not be able to get into the colleges that I'm trying to get into. Like, I am in all these extra activity classes, not because I want to be, because I have to be.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you should be forced to do all these extracurriculars if you don't want to do them. I feel like going to school and keeping your grades up should be more than enough to get you into a college. Like, you don't have all these extracurricular activities when you go to college, so clearly they don't care that much. Yeah, you have like sororities and shit like that, but it's not gonna be, oh, you can't be in here if you don't do that kind of thing.
It helps out people who are like poor, people who aren't quite smart or not quite athletic, who don't have the money to do it. It gives them the ability to get more scholarships. Like for me, I'm in student council because I get community hours, and the more community hours I get, the more money I get for college.
Yeah,
it's like I feel like college shouldn't be free, but they shouldn't, like, it's not fair to everybody, you know? It's not fair to the poor, it's not fair to the people who maybe it's like their GPA is down because they're not smart in, like, say, math and science, but they're trying to get a degree in history where they excel. They'll look at your GPA and be like, yep, yeah, right. What? But his history's all the way up. That's what matters. You know, I feel like they don't do in-depth, like, searches, maybe, at all.
Yeah, because it's like this. I take, like, AP classes, right? And I average out a C with them.
Uh-huh.
I do my best in them. It's a college level class.
Yeah.
But when I take like the average tests that we have to take, like the normal test, I'm getting like 800s. But because I'm failing the class in general in their eyes, it's absolutely, they'll be like, nope, she's not good enough. But I am great at being normal. I can outsmart any normal person in these classes.
Yeah. And I really feel like they put too much pressure on people's shoulders to go to college. My cousin went to college for 8 years to be in graphic design. He's working in a fucking Walmart factory or Amazon factory or driving a Frito Lay's truck, whatever the hell he's doing now. Like, they're putting too much high of a standard on college when multiple studies have shown that you're more likely to get hired into your field if you go to a trade school. And I know you can't necessarily go to a trade school for like being a doctor, like what you want to do, Becca, but electrical work, you're more likely to get hired right out of a trade school for that kind of thing. And you're going to make more money than someone who went to college
our school
for
has
it.
changed quite a bit on that in the most recent years. Like just this year, when they're talking like about colleges and how our recommendations and stuff are going and stuff like that, they talk more about doing trades now, especially during this year, because they're like there's so many people that don't realize that these spots are opening. So I think it all depends on where you're going. Like here, where I go to high school, it's more like trade based than college. So they talk more about trades than they do college where I am.
And that's because the school that we went to and that you're going to realized finally the income area of the students.
Yeah, where we would honestly be getting more money doing many of these things because it's what's great around here. It's our highest paying things around here involve trades and not normal things like they used to. Like where if you don't go to college, you're like an outcast.
Yeah, like depending on like what your trade is, you're gonna make as much, if not more, than what a doctor makes in this area. Because that's what's needed. We need more electricians and more welders. Especially welders that are brave enough to do the underwater welding or the welding 500-600 feet in the air. Like, don't get me wrong, we definitely need a lot of great doctors.
Underwater. As a welder, and welding running in the family, all of us have said that we'd go in the water, but there's no fucking way we're going in the sky. Not happening. I don't give a fuck. If it's more than 10 foot, I ain't doing it. I mean, we all got fears of heights. We know that, like, more than, like, 10 foot, and you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Maybe not die. I mean, you gotta think 6 foot.
People are 6 feet tall.
Yeah, so it would have to be. I'd probably do one that's like. I mean, I've done lift work, fucking hella feet in the air, 50 to 100 feet in the air. That's not a problem. But it's like having a strap on and trying to go up a fucking like radio tower and shit. Fuck that. That's the shit where we are like, nope, we are not doing that. I don't give a fuck. Can't pay me enough. You couldn't pay me enough to get over my fear to do it. There's not enough money in the world for me to do that. That's something that crazy.
I don't know. They told my cousin told his tree trimming company that as well. And they figured out a salary that he'll go 100 feet in the air to trim trees. So they could definitely pay you enough. But the question is, would you be brave enough?
True, but most people, because of how dangerous the jobs can be, don't want to actually do a trade.
See, I just like I went in and I saw how the puddles of like in welding, for me it looked like puddles of lava. And it was so fucking cool. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so fucking cool." So, of course, I went in there. I didn't even know my family was into like welding and that was a thing. I've got 2 uncles on both sides of my family that are welders. I didn't even know. Like sometimes you don't know until you get in that experience. So,
Yeah.
next one is dodgeball in school. I'm gonna start on that one because I just want to put out like I've been hit in the fucking face by dodgeballs. I've been kicked in kickball in the fucking face with a fucking dodgeball. Okay, and like you fall, it stings, your eye waters, you get back up and you keep playing. I mean, why is it gone? We can't be pussies and like that big of scared pussies. We cannot be this scared. What are we doing?
Like, accidents are going to happen in any sport. Football is one of the most violent sports. And you're going to get hit in the face with the ball. You're going to get tackled to the ground and your head's going to bounce off the fucking ground. You're going to get dogpiled by sometimes 4 or 5 people. It's going to happen. But we can't take getting hit by a rubber red ball. I still remember the smell of those red rubber balls. I remember the sound it makes when it hits you in the side of the head. Like, yeah, it hurts, but why was it important to take it out? Especially when kids are in school beating the shit out of each other. Like, I'd rather get hit in the face with a dodgeball than get punched in the face.
I don't know. It might have to do with the fact that schools like don't want to be the reason that kids are getting hurt.
Yeah, but
I feel like it has to do with violence. They don't want to be associated with violence, period. Like, they're not taking any fucking chances of promoting violence at all. But then they want to do shit like teach our kids, certain things like, you can take a pill where you don't go through puberty till you're 18, or it's okay to not want to be a boy if you're a boy. Like, nah, dude, get that fucking dude. I will homeschool my children.
they don't want
teach them
to.
that it is okay to be, transgender, or maybe even the aspects of being gay. If you choose to be gay, that's fine. But I'm not gonna be like, be gay all day. Let's fucking go, guys. No, fuck that, dude. No way, absolutely not. Will I support them if they are? Yeah, of course. But it needs to be a decision they make on their own. There's certain things you can't teach them. It has to be learned in life, through life lessons, experiences.
Well, on playing off of like them not wanting to be associated with violence, that's all fine and dandy that they don't want to be associated with violence. That is until, a student comes to the principal or their teachers with an issue with another student getting violent with them, and they do fucking nothing about it until that student steps up and finally says, you know what, I'm fucking done, and hits this other student in the face and finally starts to fight back. I was bullied throughout my entire school life, and not one damn time did the school board step in and do anything until I fought back. And then it was a conversation of, oh, you can't hit another student. This motherfucker has been hitting me every single damn day for the past 6 weeks. And you don't want to do anything when I come to you and say something. But as soon as I hit that dumbass back, I'm the bad guy now. Like, if you're not going to support violence, don't support violence. But when a student comes to you and tells you that, hey, I'm getting beat on every single fucking day, you got to do something about that as well.
That is true. Like, you should not be, like, if you want to take away things that help kids get their aggravation out, then you can't be angry when they actually start beating each other. for the same
Like-
reason.
I can't tell you how fucking good it felt to hit my school bully in the fucking face with a dodgeball during gym class. Because all that would happen is my gym teacher would say, "Hey, below the neck." Okay. And that was the end of it. It felt so fucking good to hit them purposely in the fucking face and not get really in trouble for it. Don't take away that outlet for students to get their frustrations out.
Yeah, I don't get it. We should just be allowed to do it because it would have always been easier. And plus, in high school, you don't even really have to do gym. So if you're doing gym, then you're doing it because you want to, not because you have to.
Yeah, and I've seen people get hit in the face with a dodgeball thrown by the biggest motherfucker. Like, fucking football, like, quarterback, hit in the face, threw the ball, hit somebody in the face, and them not even get, like, a bloody nose or a fat lip. They're not hard balls. They're annoying and they smell bad, but you're not gonna get permanent injury or any really injury at all. Your ears might ring a little bit, but that's it. Like, people get hit in fucking softball and baseball all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, try having a pitcher throw like, 70, 80 mile an hour fucking fastball and hit you in your leg. And you not cry. You're crying. You're crying.
My brother played baseball in junior high. And he was hitting the side of the head with a fucking fastball. That shit knocked him the fuck down.
Alright, babe, you should start on CPS corruption, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Couple of main topics. The first one would be CPS not intervening when it needs to. Just from like personal experiences, unless you have video of a child being fucking held down and fucking beaten, CPS isn't intervening at all. They don't care. You could bring them pictures of garbage piled in the house for 6 months and mold growing in the bedrooms, and they will not care unless somebody is putting their hands on the child. And that's corrupt as fuck. Like, they're okay with kids being in a moldy environment when mold's been proven to cause respiratory issues and to fuck with brain development in children. Bloody diaper rashes. Like, I don't know how personal Bilbo wants to get with it, but yeah, bloody diaper rashes. Do not give a fuck. Unless there's, like I said, unless there's fucking video proof of that child being fucking beaten, they tell you, oh, there's nothing we can do. You have anything to add, Miss Becca?
I don't know, I can add, like, even though I have 2 adopted children here in my house, like, when we were trying and when we were being put against things, even for, like, when my sister was going through stuff with her and her ex-husband, like, no matter how much proof we seem to have, the others always seem to, like, look right over it.
Yeah.
It's like they turn a blind eye to somebody who needs it the most.
Yeah.
children
They really do.
Children cannot save themselves when they're that tiny. Will they be traumatized for life because of it? Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't say anything. They can't do anything. That's their parent. That's my point of view.
another thing is especially in the last couple of years, CPS going in and taking newborns from families with zero cause. When I had our youngest 2 years ago, they called family services, and we had to sit through an interview with family services before we were allowed to leave the hospital because I had an anxiety attack. I had an anxiety attack because I was by myself right after having our son, because he came 6 weeks early and we weren't prepared. So his dad was at home preparing everything, and I was like 2 hours away from home. And more recently, there have been videos and reports of mothers just trying to leave the hospital with their newborns, and CPS and the police ripping these newborn children away from their mothers for no reason, with no evidence. All because the mother didn't do what the hospital wanted them to do. Like, that's fucked up. And it's strongly implied, we'll say, that it's because foster care and adoption agencies have no more babies. And that is the biggest moneymaker in the government. Like, there are no newborn babies in foster care to be adopted. Because let's be honest, adoption isn't about putting kids in loving families. It's about those children going to the highest paying people.
And on that note, I would say I agree. And if it was truly about the children, they wouldn't make it about money. They would just do all the things they need to do to make sure that the kid, they made sure that the parents had jobs and they took classes, and they're old enough and they're stable enough to have the child, and the child itself should be free. That is legal human trafficking.
Like, yes, you need to make sure that the family that the child is going to can financially support said child, and that it's a safe environment for them to go into. But you can look back at W-2s and pay stubs and everything like that. You can go and do a walkthrough of people's homes and do background checks. That's not an impossible thing. If it was about putting the child with a loving family that's going to be able to support it, we wouldn't still in 2022 not be adopting out to single parents or single people who want to be parents but can't be for whatever reason. Like, if a man or a woman doesn't want to get married, that shouldn't exclude them from being able to have a child, in my opinion. What do you think, Becca? I know you're a little young to be thinking about like having kids or anything like that.
No. My point of view is that it's something that, like, no one can learn to do. Nobody can learn to take care of their kids.
No.
But It should also not be the only reason you're making money. You should be having kids because you want to, and not because you want the benefits of having the child.
Yeah.
And I don't think many parents really think of that when they're starting things, because it's just
Oh,
a
hell
spur
no.
of the moment thing. They're like, well, I can get this if I have a kid. And then you end up with all these mothers who have like so many like distancing like mental problems because they didn't really want to have the kid because they wanted to have a kid.
Well,
They had
why
to
do you
because
think
they had
that why do you think the IRS put a cap on how many children you can claim on income taxes? They did that because women were getting knocked up and having so many fucking kids because they knew that they were getting at least, back at that point it was like $1,600 or $2,000 per child.
Yeah. And they used it for their own benefits, which is messed up.
Yeah, and even places like food stamps have started doing that. You can only claim up to like 5 or 6 children or something these days. Like,
My
don't
mom,
get me wrong, I love my children to death, and they drive me crazy. And don't get me wrong, those benefits are nice to have during income tax time. But that money also goes back to the children at income tax time. It doesn't just go in my pocket and be like, okay, thanks, we'll see you next year kind of thing.
yeah, most parents have their kids and then like neglect them and pretend they don't exist all up until like they actually need their kids.
Exactly. They play this good parent role in front of people when in all reality they couldn't even fucking tell you what your kid's favorite color is.
Yeah, like I bet the most kids that are going through some stuff like you realize that their parents like they don't act the same way around you as they do their own kids.